Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the Caribbean. It is Monday evening, November 21st, 2022. Before we jump into it, please ensure you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. So let's just look at a significant feature for this evening. We see where we have a stationary front stretching all the way from the North Atlantic through the Bahamas, southern tip of Florida, and also affecting portions of northwestern tip of Cuba. There's also a trough affecting portions of the Leeward and the Windward Islands. Just as you guys saw just now, according to this satellite image, this is the cold front with all the clouds and the rainfall and thunderstorms associated with it. See all the clouds stretching from North Atlantic throughout the Bahamas, Florida, and the northwestern portions of Cuba, some of it even getting into portions of Mexico and Belize and the portions of the Central America as well. And we can see the clouds of the trough are located portions of the Eastern Caribbean. We're going to talk about that as we move along. Before we go there first, let's look at the island of Jamaica. Now, before we look at what happened in Jamaica today as well as the forecast, we need to remind our viewers of what the northern and southern parishes are. So we know northern parishes, Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover. Southern parishes, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland. What about central, eastern, and western parishes? We know western parishes are Cornwall, so anywhere from Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth. Central parishes are Middlesex, St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. Surrey, Portland, St. Andrew, Kingston, and St. Thomas. So if you hear these parishes or these sections being mentioned, central parish, eastern, western, northern, southern, you know exactly where we're referring to. And we use words like some or sections or parts. So when we say that, we're not definitely meaning every single part of those areas, okay? All right. So across Jamaica today, before the sun set, we saw where we had majority of the clouds across portions of the western portion of the island. So portions of northwestern St. Elizabeth might have gotten on some of the cloud cover as well as some isolated showers before the sun set. On the most part, it was quite a sunny day across the island. Okay. Let's talk about tomorrow, shall we? According to the Euro, we're seeing that we will have an east-northeasterly flow across the island. And on the south coast, we're going to be having an easterly flow as well. What does the GFS show? Basically the same thing with more of an east-northeasterly flow across portions of the northern portion of the island. Less wind on the eastern side of the island. Okay. What does the wind shear map show? We don't have much in the way of wind shear tomorrow. This is 1 p.m. Tuesday according to the Euro. Look, there's upper level high pressure sitting right on top of Jamaica. So if there was any kind of storm forming, it wouldn't have any problem right now. It's not being sheared. All the wind shear is located north of the island, the north of Cuba, the heaviest wind shear across portions of the southeastern and the eastern United States. That's according to the Euro. What does the GFS show? Basically the same thing. Upper level high pressure, little to no wind shear across the island. And we know sometimes these wind shear can be beneficial for afternoon thunder showers across sections of the island. That's if you don't know. Let's talk about where it's going to rain tomorrow. According to the Euro model, 2 a.m. is what is being forecast for showers across portions of northern Jamaica, maybe even portions of Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary. That's according to the Euro. 2 a.m. on the GFS shows rainfall across portions of St. Mary, Portland, some of it even spilling into northern portions of St. Thomas. What about 3 a.m. tomorrow? Basically the same parishes on the Euro as well as the GFS. What about tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m.? Eastern, Central, and Western parishes, so portions of, I don't know, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, St. Anne, Clarendon, maybe even Manchester, portions of Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, Central and Western parishes specifically. Same thing on the GFS, and some of this spilling into 4 p.m. as well. And if we look at the accumulated precipitation, that's where the total amount of rainfall is expected. Portions of northern Jamaica, some of it spilling into portions of South Central Jamaica. That's according to the Euro. What does the GFS show? Basically, a bias towards the north coast, some of it spilling into southern parishes as well, which coincides quite well with what our workers here with the Jamaica forecast. They said the ECMWF and GFS supercomputer models are in agreement that portions of northern Jamaica could receive rainfall on the early morning of Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022, also affecting sections of central and western Jamaica on Tuesday afternoon. Basically, same thing that I just showed, 3 a.m. Tuesday. Where's the rainfall? Where's the agreement? Northern parishes on the Euro. And when we have agreement, that's where we have the highest certainty. The chances are high for rainfall. So the afternoon, central and western parishes, just as stated. Now that's it for the weather across Jamaica. Let's talk about the forecast throughout the next 5 days according to the U.S. National Hurricane Center. As they said, nothing new in the next 5 days. Let's hope it remains that way. Let's now take a look at the entire Atlantic, shall we? This is the image that I like to look at the most. This image, it doesn't show the colored high cloud tops. It basically shows where all the clouds are, even the lower level clouds that can also bring rainfall. If we look closely, we see where that cold front is stationary. If you don't know what stationary means, it means that it is in place. It might look like it's moving, but no, it's not. All of that you're seeing is all the wind shear being pushed off to the northeast, and you see how fast they're moving. Just like the image that I just showed, the strongest wind shear is right there off the southeastern coast of the United States, right there. So that is what is going on up there. What about the Eastern Caribbean? Now we see where all of those low-level clouds coming in to portions of the Eastern Caribbean to bring rainfall, and portions of those Eastern Caribbean islands will be receiving a lot of rainfall. We'll get into that shortly, but before that, let's take a look at the close-up. We can also see some lightning flashes in there, the sparkling white dots indicating thunderstorms, and all of that is expected to move westward with that trough. If we take a look also at the radar loop, you can also see where most of that rainfall is. You know, that radar shows where the actual rainfall is, the green, the yellows, and it shows it in real time, as opposed to the cloud cover that the satellite images show. You know, satellite images can show clouds. We can see a lot of clouds across an area, but we might not necessarily be getting rain. So we see we're getting rain across portions of the Eastern Caribbean right now, and that is being forecast as well for tomorrow as well. So right now we see rainfall across portions of southern Florida, according to, well, being affected by that cold front, also affecting portions of Belize, Mexico, Honduras. Rainfall also affecting portions of Puerto Rico, Anguilla, St. Martin, Barbuda, Antigua, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, Barbados, might even get in on some of the rainfall, Trinidad and Tobago as well, Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, maybe later on. There, I see some rainfall moving as well right now, and more is to come tomorrow. Let's talk about what the models are showing. So let us see for the next couple of days, according to Euro, we see where that trough enters the Caribbean. There it is right there, south of Hispaniola, bringing in some more moisture, especially across portions of the southern Caribbean. So most of that weather seems to be passing south of Hispaniola and even Jamaica. Let's go all the way up to 120 hours. That's 120 hours. That's what the U.S. National Hurricane Center normally does. 120 hours, if we calculate it, it's actually 5 days. So we see where all that moisture associated with that trough continues to move its way all the way south of the Greater Antilles and ramming right into portions of Central America. But the GFS show basically the same thing. Most of that moisture entering the Caribbean and making its way into portions of the Central Caribbean, right there, 120 hours. And if we look at the next 24 hours, this is all the way up to, this is 3Z on Wednesday. So that's about 10 p.m. on Tuesday night. So this is the amount of rainfall that's expected. Just as what we showed, rainfall across portions of northern Jamaica, according to the Euro. Most of the rainfall for tomorrow is expected to be south of the island, affecting portions of Hispaniola, especially offshore southern portions of Dominican Republic. Also affecting portions of the Eastern Caribbean. All of those islands mentioned in the Windward Island could be getting in on some rainfall, and those areas could also receive some flooding. That's what the Euro shows. What does the GFS show? Basically the same thing. Okay. And if we look closely, all of these greens, yellows, and oranges and reds refer to anywhere between 0.05 to up to, let's say, up to 1 point or one and a, let's say up to 2 inches of rainfall. Okay, and we know how bad an inch of 1 inch of rainfall can be, especially if it falls, over a short period of time in a low-lying area. So please take the necessary precautions that you need to in order to not be affected that much. Let's look at the next 63 hours up until Thursday morning. This is the amount of rainfall expected across portions of the Caribbean. We see it all looking like fire right now if we look at it from afar. Lots of rainfall stretching all the way from the Eastern Caribbean to the Western Caribbean, staying well south of the Greater Antilles Islands. So maybe some of this rainfall might spill into portions of Jamaica, Cayman Islands, as well as Hispaniola. We see where a lot of this rainfall is going to be affecting portions of maybe the Dominican Republic and Eastern Puerto Rico. That's according to the Euro model. What does the GFS show? Basically, the same thing, getting all the way into some of that purple area, affecting portions of Central America as well as Trinidad and some other islands of the Southern Caribbean. So we know that a lot of flooding might be possible because purples represent up to even 3 up to 4 inches of rainfall. So we know how dangerous that can be. So please ensure that when flooded, turn around, don't drown. Okay, how to prepare for floods in urban areas? It says evacuate low-lying areas if advised by authorities. Be alert to weather forecasts and warning messages or evacuation announcement. Please place valuables on a raised platform in the house. Do not throw waste and plastic products in drains. Carry the following in waterproof bags. What are they talking about? Torch, dry food, drinking water, dry clothes, ID cards, important medicines, first aid box, strong ropes, chlorine tablets, necessary documents. That's if you're drastically impacted by this flooding. We may not know exactly what happened. Please ensure that you keep abreast to all of these updates. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Stay safe. Okay, all right, bye-bye.